Alright, so this evening we are just going to talk briefly about hive beetles. We have a video of me putting in a beetle trap in our hives, and we had a lot of comments about hive beetles. What are they? Why do you need to get rid of them? What do they do? And so today I am going to tell you all about that. So, first of all, a hive beetle is just about this little, and it's black, right? Very little, and they only live in beehives. So you're not going to see these type of beetles anywhere else. They live in hives, beehives. That's why they're called a hive beetle, right? So, anyways, so that is what they are, and this is the life cycle of a hive beetle and how they can damage the beehive. So what they do, you first start out with your female hive beetle, and she is in the hive, right? Okay, and she is going to lay her eggs inside the bee bread, the pollen, and the honey that the bees have in this hive. That, of course, they use to feed the baby bees, to feed themselves, and to make honey with, right? So that's where she lays her eggs. Now, a female hive beetle, her lifespan, unless, of course, she's killed, is 6 months. Within those 6 months, if she was to live her whole lifespan, she could lay 1,000 to 2,000 eggs, okay? So if you think about it, if you had one hive beetle that lived her lifespan in your hive, she would be putting in your hive 2,000 more hive beetles because she would be laying those eggs. That would be devastating for your hive if that many hatched. It would be devastating. Even for a strong hive, that would still be devastating because, let me tell you what the next step of this is. Why would it be devastating? So, she lays the eggs. Then, once they hatch, which I will tell you how long it takes them to hatch in a minute. I will tell you that. Okay, so, back to what I was saying. Not a gnat in my mouth. So, they have eggs in the bee bread. Okay, they are eggs for 3 days. They're going to hatch from the eggs in 3 days, and they're going to be little white larvae. It's kind of like a baby bee, right? They're little white larvae. So these are the same thing, little white larvae. But these little white larvae are not bees. So what they're going to do is they're going to start chewing through this bee bread, pollen, and honey, and eating it, and leaving behind yucky slime stuff, right? That's disgusting. You know, they're like little worms. And you know what happens when little worms eat, and then they leave yucky, slimy stuff, messes behind them. So imagine a frame or a couple frames of baby, these larvae from hive beetles, and they are just destroying it. I mean, right? The bees are not going to be eating that nasty stuff anymore when it has been slimed by a hive beetle baby. So that's just not going to work. So that is what they do while they are doing this. And they do this, they stay in this hive for 10 to 14 days. Can you imagine how much damage that would happen? The bees would not, if you had that 2,000 number or more in your hive, and they were in there 10 to 14 days doing that, the bees would not be, even a strong hive, I don't think that they would stay. I don't think that they would take their time to clean up that mess. So they would leave. And that is why they abscond, to go to a cleaner house. Now, if it was a small hive and that was happening, instead of them leaving, they probably just would die. They wouldn't make it because that's just too much, way too much for a small hive to clean up. And they are eating their resources, so they would have nothing to eat. So they would starve. So, anyway, so now they're at the larva stage. So they're 10 to 14 days in there. Then what happens? They fall out into the ground to make their cocoon. 3 to 4 weeks are they in their cocoon before they come out and emerge as a hive beetle to go back into your hive if they are females and to start the vicious cycle over again. So this is why. Okay, so they're in the ground in their cocoon for 3 to 4 weeks, like I said, and then they come out go back in here and start the cycle over again. So now also, another thing about hive beetles is that they can fly. So if you have other beekeepers or people who have bees in your close area, and the hive beetles, if their hives have a lot of beetles, if they're not helping the bees take care of them or they're not doing anything about it, and those beetles, they're kind of the same as bees, because the bees see the beetles, too many, they're like, we're leaving. Well, the beetles say, guess what? There's too many beetles in these hives. There's not enough space for us. We're going to go find more beehives because we need more room. We need that. We need those resources. We need more room to lay our eggs. So then they're going to get up, they're going to fly, and if you have beehives, they may come to your beehives. So just to know that, right? So it's not like, oh, well, I don't have any beetles in my grass, or I don't have that problem. Well, down the road could be a problem. You wouldn't know that, and that's how they could come to your hive. So that is why what I'm going to tell you next, the 3 ways of preventing hive beetle problems, or actually 4 ways. I have a special tip at the end. But the 4 ways, I will tell you why they are important to do when you have beehives. Because if not, like you just heard me say, they could be a humongous problem for your hives. Even big hives, that could be a humongous problem. Because if you had 10, only 10 female hive beetles in your hive, they live their lifespan of 6 months. So say they each lay 2,000 eggs. That is, what, 20,000 hive beetles now in this hive. Trust me, that will devastate. Those bees will not, they won't stay. They will not stay. Or they will die. So definitely it's so important to manage and prevent. Preventative measures is better than having to cure it, right? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, because you want to prevent it before you have the problem, right? And trust me, that's so true. So now I'm going to tell you your 4 ways to control and limit, keep them down, keep your numbers down. Because of course you're not going to be able to get rid of them totally, because this is, you can't do that. But the bees have their own ways, and then because we're beekeepers, we're helping them. So between the 2 of us, we will be able to keep the numbers low to where it's not a big deal at all. So let me tell you the ways. First way, their natural way, is the bees set up beetle traps in their hive on their own. And the way that they do this is at the corners of the frames, they will build beetle traps, which is really kind of interesting that they do this. So what they do is, the propolis stuff that they build, which is the sticky stuff, it's like the antibiotics that they use to keep their hives clean and safe from viruses and bacteria. Well, they will build this propolis in the corners of the frames. Then, if they see beetles, all the bees, or not all of them, but a good amount of the bees will chase all those beetles into those corners, because they know that that's where they put the propolis, and then the bees will get stuck. Then, guess what? So those mama beetles are being chased, because remember, the only beetles that are really going to be in there that are beetles are the mama beetles, right? Because they're going back in there to lay the eggs. So for a fact, those are the ones that are getting killed. So if you see a real beetle. Now if it's the larva, then we don't really know. But, so they're going to chase them and get stuck in the propolis. So that is their natural way. So that's what I mean. If the numbers are low and you have a strong hive, they can take care of the beetles. That's okay. And I'm talking low. You gotta have, but we have to do our part in order to keep their numbers low, right? So that's their part. That's how they do it naturally. Now, this is our 3 ways to help keep the population of the hive beetles low. Number 1 is we put out beetle traps into their hives as well. And that is the video that you can see on my channel of me installing the beetle traps to each of our hives this year. And what that is, it's this little black thing. You would see it on the video that you watch me doing it. It's about this deep. It's not very big. About this long, about this deep. And it has holes in it. Okay, on the top. Holes on the top. What you do is you pour about this much vegetable oil, canola oil, any type of oil that you have. Not too much, this much. Now you want to pour it into this trap before, though, you put it in the hive, because the bees cannot have oil on them. They will die. It'll get on their wings. They will not. They will die. It will kill them. Do not get the oil on your bees. So please don't do that. So pour it outside the hive, and then you're going to set it inside, in between two frames, okay, in the corner, the corner, because remember, that's where they're going to chase the bees when they make the propolis. So you want to kind of mimic what they do naturally. So then they will do that with this. So you have this trap here in the front corner, right, in between the frames, and then when there's beetles, the bees are going to chase those beetles up into the corner again, and the beetles will fall through this little holes on the top of this trap, and they will go into the oil and they will drown. The bees cannot go in there because the holes are too small, but the beetles can. They will drop in it, and then they will be dead. Okay, so that's how they drown. So that's the first way that we as beekeepers can help keep the hive beetle population low. Second way is we use Grub-X. It is an insecticide, which we normally do not use insecticides or any chemicals around our farm, but this one is very important because of the beetle problem. So what we do is around our hives and out a few feet out, we sprinkle Grub-X in the springtime. And what that does is that stays in the ground. Now, it doesn't really hurt. I mean, the bees are not on the ground in the springtime, so it's not going to hurt the bees, you know. And then once the rain gets it into the ground, of course, then it's okay. It's safe. So it's not going to hurt anybody or any other animals or outside. So anyway, but what that does is that, so then once those larvae drop onto the ground to dig into the ground to make their cocoon, they are going to die. So they cannot make their cocoon. If they're already in the ground, in their cocoon, when they hatch, they are not going to make it out of the ground because they will die. So that is your second way. As beekeepers, we can help keep the beetle population low. Then your third way, that is the funnest way to keep them low, is when you check in your hives, and if you see a little black beetle crawling around, squish it. Chase it around and squish it with your hive tool, with your finger, with whatever you have. Kill it then. Don't let it just run away. Make sure you squish it to make sure you know she's gone. So those are the three ways, and then of course the fourth way is them doing it naturally. So as you can see, that's really in depth about hive beetles, but because they can do so much damage, and they're so little, you wouldn't think something so little could damage something, you know, so big. But they really can, and they can do it in short order because of the number of eggs that the moms lay, and that they are only, you know, they're not laying eggs anywhere else. They are just looking for beehives. So that's why that is really, you know, it's important. It's important. And as beekeepers, it is our job to help the bees be successful, to thrive, to multiply. And so that is why we need to do the best we can do, right? So, I mean, we do that. We do all those things. We help our bees as best we can. God's hand is in our bees always. He always has been, and all good stuff is from God. So that's just how it is. That's the truth. So we're thankful. We're grateful. We love our bees, and we love God, and we are just so excited to see what He does for us next year after winter with our bees. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe and put thumbs up if you like it, and leave us comments. We love to hear them. We love to talk to you guys about the things that we love and the things that you love, and we love to share God's glory with you through our lifestyle, through our videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.